Well, you know, my first guest from his award-winning movie and TV roles, including Forrest Gump and CSI New York. But this could also be a Huck's Hero segment, thanks to his tireless efforts to help our veterans and their families. It's an inspiring story that's told in his brand new book called Grateful American, A Journey from Self to Service. We are very honored to have a great American patriot and a wonderful actor. Please welcome Gary Sinise. Gary, you are beloved everywhere you go, and clearly in this theater, you are most welcome.
Thank you.
And I want to tell you something. I've decided that you may be the Bob Hope of our generation in supporting and entertaining the troops all over the world. I don't know if anyone is doing more than you are to honor our veterans.
Thank you.
I want to begin by asking you a question. Was there ever a role that you said no to that later you said, wow, I coulda, shoulda, woulda?
You know, there was a role. Here's a thing that happened. I did a movie with Ron Howard called Ransom, and they offered me the part, and I did say no. But then I regretted saying no, and I happened to run into his producer a little later on, and I said, "How's it going, you know, casting that part?" And he said, "Well, we're just about to cast it. We're going to offer it to..." And I said, and he said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, you know, I kind of regret turning it down." And so he said, "Well, okay." And then 15 minutes after I got home, Ron Howard called and said, "Do you want to be in this movie now?" And I said, "Yes." And I got the part. It was the part of Jimmy Shaker in Ransom with Mel Gibson, and I got to play the bad guy. So I turned it down, but I regretted turning it down. It worked out all right.
I see you ended up with the role after all, so it all panned out.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else that I've turned down.
Now, you started acting in high school, right?
Yeah.
And then formed a theater group in the basement of a church in Chicago where you grew up. And when did the acting bug just really bite and you say, I want to do this for a living?
I was a terrible student from the time I was in kindergarten all the way through school. I struggled and struggled, and I never learned how to spell or write, or I was just a terrible student.
You should have gone into politics. You would be perfect for it there. You had such an opportunity. But thank God you didn't.
No, what I did do was went into music.
And you're really good at it, by the way. You really are. You're a phenomenal bass player, because I'm not a phenomenal bass player, and I love when I listen to you because you're good at it.
Oh, thank you. Well, I got a guitar when I was in 4th grade, and it was the only thing that kind of got me through the pain of not being able to get through school. And I was standing in a hallway with some of my band members, and we were looking pretty scruffy and kind of beat up and sort of, you know, crazy looking. And this teacher walked down the hall, drama teacher, and she looked at us and said, "I'm directing West Side Story, and you look perfect for a gang member. Please come in."
What a compliment.
Audition. And then she blew off down the hall, and then I actually went and kind of checked out the audition, saw all the pretty girls going in there, and I followed them in. And they gave me a script. I got up there, started reading, and I was stumbling through it, but I was making jokes, and I got the part, and there it was. It turned my life completely around in a new direction. I ended up starting a theater company after that. The theater company is now 45 years old.
It's still going.
We own 4 buildings. We're about to build another one. And it started with just 18-year-old kids who wanted to do plays.
But there were some pretty impressive people that came through that theater group, right? I mean, John Malkovich, Joan Allen.
Yeah, John Malkovich, Laurie Metcalf.
Wow.
Joan Allen, some really extraordinary. John Mahoney was an early member of the company. Gary Cole, a lot of great people came out of the company.
It must have been a great start. I'm very impressed that in the book that's just come out, and by the way, I hope everybody in America will get a copy, it is a very candid story, but it's a wonderful story of why you care so much about our military veterans. And something that I didn't realize, both you and your wife have connections in your direct family all the way back to World War I.
Yeah.
So how did it finally hit you that, wow, I've got a real legacy here to serve?
Well, yeah, veterans in my family, World War I. My grandfather was an ambulance driver in the Battle of the Argonne, really bloody, terrible battle in France. He had 3 sons. My dad's 2 older brothers both served in World War II. My dad served in the Navy in the early 50s. When I met my soon-to-be wife, she was an early member of Steppenwolf Theater. She introduced me to her Vietnam veteran brothers, 2 of them. Her sister served in the Army. Her sister's husband was a Vietnam veteran, stayed in the Army for 22 years. They had a son. He served in the Army, went to Afghanistan twice. A lot of veterans around me, so it kind of starts there. And I felt a lot of compassion for our Vietnam veterans after I got to know her brothers. And so I started supporting them in various ways in Chicago. That sort of laid the groundwork for, and that was in the 80s. In the 90s, I got to play a Vietnam veteran in Forrest Gump. And he was a wounded Vietnam veteran. So that started me supporting our wounded. And then after September 11th, it was just, it was such a devastating, catastrophic event. Our men and women started deploying. I just felt called to serve in some way, so I started raising my hand wherever I could. And I ended up supporting multiple military charities.
You created the Gary Sinise Foundation back in 2011. I've been to some of the events that you've done. And anyone who's ever been around either the Gary Sinise Foundation events or you in these settings will know that this is not sort of the celebrity drop in, come in, wave at everybody and do it. I mean, you really commit yourself in a way, traveled all over the world to entertain troops with the Lieutenant Dan Band. And Gary, I want you to know, I mean, I think a lot of us look with such a great sense of appreciation that your commitment to our military and veterans, the authenticity of that is just remarkable. And that's why I said, and I really think that I don't know of anyone who is closer to doing that kind of service, the Bob Hope of our generation. And that's the greatest compliment I could pay to you for what you do.
Thank you.
When you first started going out with the Lieutenant Dan Band that you created, were you shocked at the reaction that you got from those folks out there at the point of the spear in places like Iraq and Afghanistan who really wanted, they needed you. They needed to know that somebody cared enough to come and entertain them and show some respect for them?
Well, after we deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan, I raised my hand for the USO. What can an actor do, you know? So you call the USO up, and I started going on tours and shaking hands and taking pictures, and had a group of musicians that I played with for fun. We would just get together every once in a while and jam, so I talked the USO and let me take them on a trip. And we were pretty rugged in those days. I mean, it was a garage band in those days. But as time went on, I kept volunteering to do the music thing and to go on bases around the world and in this country. And the band shaped. 2 of my band members are here today. My drummers are here today. And they've been with me over 10 years playing. And the band has done, 450 concerts, something like that for the troops. So we got a lot better as time went on. And the band shaped itself pretty well. And it's really, I play for free. The band is a program of the Gary Sinise Foundation. Yeah. So the mission of the band is the troops band. It's really a band that just plays for the military, and basically that's about it. We raise money to support the Gary Sinise Foundation's efforts to support the military. We raise spirits by going to hospitals and playing at military hospitals. We will be playing 2 concerts in Florida this weekend on military bases in Florida. So we're always out there doing something. But the primary focus and mission of the band is simply to raise spirits and raise awareness for the men and women who serve our country. And that's why I'm doing it.
Well, we would love sometime that we get the Lieutenant Dan Band to come to Nashville, put together a big show. But the book is called Grateful American. Clearly, I mean, that's the expression of your life. What, above all things, make you grateful to be an American?
Well, I am grateful to be an American. I've been around the world. I've seen I've been to places where freedom doesn't exist. And so I value my freedom, and I value the people that provide it for me. And I know where it comes from. I know it has to be fought for and protected. I've been to places like Iraq and Afghanistan. These are places that have been under the thumbs of dictators and warlords. And you go to the border between North and South Korea. You may have been there, Governor.
I have.
You know, when you stand on that border, the DMZ, and you look at the North Korean guards that are 5 feet away from you, they have no concept what a free society is, what freedom of speech is, freedom of religion, freedom of press. They are there to serve the dictator, and that's it. And the people in the South that are standing on the side that I'm standing on, they understand what freedom is, and they know what has to be done to protect it. So I'm grateful for the men and women who serve our country. I'm grateful that I've been blessed to be in this American experiment. It's not perfect, of course, but where is, you know? I mean, tell me that. This is a good place. I tend to look at the country as the glass is half full, instead of, I think, quite often we look at it like it's half empty, and we don't appreciate and cherish the good things and the great things of this country. I'm blessed, I'm grateful to be an American. The book is called A Journey from Self to Service. So I went from a singular focus on my acting career and this free society that has offered me the opportunity to be an actor and make a living at it, to using something that's been given to me, success, to do something good with it and do something positive with it. I just want to give back a bit, and I've been blessed to have the opportunity to do that.
Well, let me tell you something. I am a grateful American, grateful for you and your service. The fact is, I don't know of anybody who's ever met you that does not love you and appreciate you, because you're one of the most genuinely gracious people that I've ever been around, and what an honor to have you here. I hope both our studio and our television audience will make this book the #1 bestseller in America, and it is a great book. You love Gary Sinise, you're going to love his book. It's a powerful story, and it'll make you not just love him, but make you love America even more. It is available at all major booksellers. You can get it online, of course, and if you act quickly, and that means quickly, you can get a personally inscribed copy along with the Grateful American t-shirt, and of course, it was made in the USA. All of that is at the GarySiniseFoundation.org. And while you're there, why don't you see what you can do to help our veterans?